Close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up in a small village in medieval Europe. The air is thick with the scent of smoke from hearth fires and the damp earth that has yet to warm with the rising sun. The streets are narrow, cobbled, and almost eerily quiet, save for the distant bleating of sheep and the low murmur of neighbors speaking in hushed tones. You stretch, feeling the chill in your bones as sunlight struggles to penetrate the thick morning fog. The world seems still, but beneath that quiet lies a rhythm, a subtle tension, a web of unseen rules dictating everything from a glance to a touch. Life in these villages is intimate in ways that are invisible to the outsider. Families crowd into small stone cottages, children sleeping beside parents, servants sharing the same rooms, and every space pressed into use. Privacy, as we understand it today, does not exist. Every gesture is observed, every word weighed. To act on desire without caution is to risk suspicion, gossip, or worse, punishment. Intimacy is not merely an act of passion or affection, it is a negotiation with society itself, a delicate balance between human instinct and survival. Even in the most mundane of activities, the rules are present. When a young woman fetches water from the well, she moves carefully, aware of every pair of eyes upon her. A lingering glance can signal curiosity, boldness, or even impropriety. A touch, however accidental it seems, is fraught with meaning. Hands brushing while carrying firewood, fingers meeting for a split second in the darkened kitchen, these are gestures that speak volumes, understood only by those who know the silent codes. Intimacy here is subtle, invisible, and omnipresent. Close your eyes and sense the discipline that governs human desire. In this era, public affection is not simply discouraged, it is dangerous. Men and women must navigate not only their own longings, but the constant scrutiny of neighbors, kin, and religious authorities. The body is never entirely private. It is part of a social contract, regulated by invisible expectations. A moment of weakness, a too bold word, a fleeting expression of desire, can echo through the community and bring shame or even ostracism. Every person moves with careful calculation, learning early the limits of acceptable expression. In the monasteries and convents, the rules of intimacy become almost ritualized. Priests, monks, and nuns are bound by vows of celibacy, yet desire persists. It cannot be extinguished, only channeled. Secret letters, hidden messages, and coded poetry carry the weight of human longing, while prayers and confessions mask what cannot be openly expressed. Even the devout must navigate this invisible dance between longing and doctrine, shaping their interactions with subtlety, creativity, and caution. Desire is not denied, is transformed, ritualized, and made invisible, yet never absent. Everywhere, architecture enforces these rules. Homes are compact, ceilings low, and windows small and high. Streets are narrow, ensuring that movement is seen, but also allowing for chance encounters that must be negotiated with care. Every household, every neighbor, is both observer and participant in a silent surveillance. Young people learn to read these signs instinctively, discerning which glances are harmless, which gestures carry intent, and which words must be carefully measured. Curiosity and longing exist, but they are tempered by fear and refined into covert communication, subtle expression, and patient waiting. Close your eyes and imagine walking through the village at dusk. The last light stretches across stone walls, catching the smoke rising from chimneys. Families gather around hearths, sharing warmth but speaking little of their desires. Touch is functional, measured, often disguised. A child leans against a parent. A servant passes behind a master. Hands briefly meeting in the dark. Every contact is both necessary and symbolic. Even small gifts, coins exchanged for favors, or food handed secretly carry emotional significance. In this society, intimacy is not always physical. It is in what is shared, concealed, and observed. The invisible rules extend beyond households. In marketplaces, in fields, even in forests, every interaction is governed by observation and expectation. Young lovers learn to communicate in glances, in riddles, in gestures that evade detection. Conversation becomes layered with meaning. Silence becomes language, and patience is as vital as courage. To survive socially, one must master this invisible code, knowing when to act, when to wait, and when to hide desire altogether. Close your eyes and feel the subtle tension that fills every stone cottage and narrow lane. Even small children internalize the rules of intimacy, learning from parents, siblings, and servants alike. They watch, they imitate, they learn the delicate boundaries of human interaction. Desire is natural, unavoidable, yet shaped by necessity, refined into invisible patterns, and hidden beneath layers of social expectation. Every interaction is a test of understanding, of self-control, and of the ability to navigate a world that watches constantly, yet speaks little. As night falls, torches flicker along the streets and shadows stretch across the village square. You notice how carefully people move, how even the simplest acts, carrying firewood, tending to livestock, preparing food, become exercises in subtle communication. Hands, eyes, posture, and silence all convey meaning. Intimacy is everywhere and nowhere, present in the spaces between words and in the pause before a gesture. It is disciplined, coded, and powerful, shaping lives in ways the modern world cannot comprehend. Close your eyes and let the rhythm of the dark ages settle over you. In this world, human desire is not forbidden. It is carefully concealed, transformed into art, ritual, and silent language. It flows through families, communities, and monasteries, moving in the spaces society allows, shaping relationships and survival alike. To understand intimacy here is to understand the heartbeat of an entire civilization, subtle, cautious, and alive in the quiet, invisible ways that define daily life. The morning fog lifts slowly, revealing more of the village and the surrounding fields. The cottages stand silent, smoke curling from their chimneys, and the narrow streets are filled with quiet movement. Villagers are already stirring, yet every step, every glance, every gesture is measured. The lessons of yesterday, the invisible rules of intimacy, have not faded. They remain etched into the very rhythm of life. Children, now a little older, watch parents and neighbors with sharp, calculating eyes, learning how the world observes and interprets every small action. What was once instinctive is now conscious, a careful performance of propriety and subtlety. In the markets, the subtle art of interaction continues. Women in plain dresses, men with work-worn tunics, all navigate the silent boundaries that dictate who may speak, who may touch, and what may be shared. Even a merchant selling grain must be aware. A smile too long, a lingering look, a hand resting for a moment longer on a basket, can carry implications far beyond what is spoken. The entire village functions on these hidden signals. Here, desire does not vanish, transforms. A playful glance might become a coded question. A gentle touch could convey gratitude, affection, or longing. Every word, every motion, is layered with meaning understood only by those attuned to the unspoken language of the time. Families move with the same precision. In kitchens, near hearths, or in dark corners of the home, small acts are carefully performed, signaling care, attention, or subtle interest. A mother might brush a child's hair with gentle fingers that are careful not to linger too long. A father might offer a touch of comfort to a grown son, carefully balanced between warmth and propriety. These gestures are rarely noticed by outsiders, yet they carry immense weight within the family, shaping trust, closeness, and understanding. Every interaction is an intricate dance, requiring awareness and discretion. Beyond the household, the church continues to exert its influence over intimate behavior. Priests and monks patrol boundaries with watchful eyes, teaching discipline while preaching morality. Desire is neither ignored nor entirely condemned. It is contained, redirected into ritual, prayer, and silent reflection. Lovers find creative ways to express their feelings within these limits. Hidden letters tucked under floorboards, subtle exchanges of gifts, poems written in secrecy, or coded songs sung during communal work. These small rebellions are safe only because they are invisible to those who lack knowledge of the silent codes. Traveling beyond the village, the influence of the wider world becomes apparent. Lords and noble families observe the same principles, yet with their own twist. In castles and manors, intimacy is both a weapon and a currency. Courtiers and servants alike must navigate the unspoken rules, understanding that a misplaced word, a glance, or touch can alter fortunes or spark scandal. In these spaces, desire is intensely politicized. It must be carefully disguised beneath layers of etiquette, ceremonial duties, and ritualized social interaction. A nobleman's whispered interest might be masked by formal praise or a gift. A noblewoman's fleeting smile may be interpreted by spies, servants, or rivals, giving her influence and power if carefully managed. Close your eyes and feel the tension in these interactions. Even the smallest movements, the quietest gestures, carry weight. When a hand lingers near another during a task, it is both intimate and fraught with risk. When two eyes meet across a crowded hall, the silent message can signal alliance, curiosity, or desire. In every village, town, and manor, people are learning the same lesson. Intimacy is not a simple expression of affection. It is an art form, a strategy, a survival tool. Within the walls of monasteries and convents, the tension of desire takes on a different form. Priests and nuns, bound by vows, navigate a delicate balance between faith and human instinct. The heart continues to stir, even in the most disciplined individuals. They learn to mask longing through ritual, through the careful allocation of tasks, through subtle observation of others. The hidden lives of these devoted individuals are intricate and highly disciplined. Affection is expressed in gestures, coded notes, or shared work, and always under the watchful gaze of their spiritual community. Desire is never extinguished, becomes a quiet undercurrent that shapes behavior and thought. In families across villages, the lessons of observation and patience continue to sharpen. Young people are acutely aware of the invisible boundaries that govern interaction. They learn to recognize gestures, expressions, and pauses that might indicate interest, affection, or danger. Every choice where to sit, how to speak, how to move is measured against the silent expectations of community and kin. Acting without understanding these rules can bring scandal or social punishment. Acting with skill can foster trust, intimacy, and influence. It is a slow, careful education, learned through observation and subtle trial and error. Even in the midst of work, desire finds its pathways. Farmers labor in the fields, hands brushing over grain and soil, sometimes touching each other in moments of shared effort. Servants move through halls, exchanging small signals, glances, or words carefully chosen to convey what cannot be spoken. In this world, intimacy is rarely direct. It is hidden, encoded, and carefully managed. A fleeting brush of fingers can convey comfort or passion, depending on the timing, context, and understanding of the observer. Every act is part of a silent dance, one that requires awareness, patience, and caution. Close your eyes and imagine the psychological weight of this constant surveillance. Every thought, every movement is subject to scrutiny. Desire is never free. It is measured, refined, and encoded. The young and old alike internalize these rules, understanding instinctively when a gesture might be misinterpreted, when a word could create scandal. The lessons of intimacy are embedded in daily life, passed down from parent to child, servant to apprentice, teacher to student. They shape relationships, govern behavior, and maintain the delicate balance that allows society to function. As months pass, the invisible rules grow more complex. Social hierarchy, gender roles, religious expectation, and economic necessity all influence the dance of intimacy. A single misstep, a glance too long, a gesture too bold can have ripple effects, damaging relationships, reputations, or even survival. Yet the human heart continues to seek connection, affection, and understanding, and it does so with incredible subtlety. The art of intimacy in the Dark Ages is as much about patience and strategy as it is about desire itself. By evening, the village is quiet again, with torches flickering against stone walls. Families gather near hearths, and the subtle rituals of care and closeness continue behind closed doors. Hands meet briefly while sharing chores, eyes exchange silent messages across the room, and words are carefully chosen to convey affection without drawing attention. In this world, intimacy is not just a matter of the body, it is a complex network of observation, restraint, and subtle expression. It is survival, connection, and art, all in one. And as you step back from the hearth, from the streets, from the fields, you realize this: in the Dark Ages, human connection is never simple. Desire, affection, and intimacy exist, but always within a labyrinth of unspoken rules, careful observation, and patient, deliberate expression. To navigate it is to understand the rhythm of life itself, to see the invisible threads that bind families, communities, and even entire societies together. Night settles over the village, wrapping streets, cottages, and fields in a quiet darkness. Yet the stillness is deceiving. Behind closed doors, by the dim glow of hearth fires, the lessons of intimacy continue to play out in subtle, intricate ways. Desire, curiosity, and human connection have not disappeared. They have merely adapted, finding expression in the shadows, in whispers, and in gestures that carry weight beyond words. Even in sleep, children and adults alike carry these lessons in the rhythm of their hearts, in the instinctive awareness of what is safe and what is not. In the marketplace, long after the sun has set, conversations continue in hushed tones. Merchants and patrons navigate invisible lines with careful precision. A compliment is measured. A hand resting briefly on a counter is fleeting. A smile may convey encouragement or quiet intrigue. Every interaction is laden with meaning, and everyone knows it. The dance of intimacy is everywhere, yet invisible to those untrained in its subtle language. To survive, to connect, to thrive in this society, one must learn to read these signs as skillfully as a farmer reads the weather. Families maintain their own private codes. A hand placed gently on a shoulder can soothe or signal affection. A glance toward a hidden corner might convey a question without words. In kitchens, in attics, in corners of the yard, gestures that seem ordinary to an outsider are loaded with intention. The young learn by imitation, the old by memory. Knowledge of these codes becomes survival, a map for navigating not just social expectation, but the human heart itself. The silent rules guide relationships, define trust, and create a network of understanding that binds the village together. Even in monasteries and convents, these unspoken codes persist. Devotion cannot erase desire, and so it must be expressed in the quietest ways. A careful exchange of a note, a fleeting touch while carrying water, a whispered word during labor, all of these become vehicles for emotion. The monks, nuns, and priests who have committed themselves to vows of celibacy carry the same instincts as any human, yet their expression is governed by discipline and faith. Intimacy here is ritualized, invisible, and profoundly psychological, teaching patience, restraint, and subtlety that extend far beyond the cloister walls. In noble households, the stakes are higher, but the same principles hold. Courtiers learn to convey affection through careful attention, praise, and gift-giving, while avoiding the sharp eyes of rivals and observers. Lovers must encode messages in gestures, letters, and poetry. Even a fleeting smile or carefully chosen word can tip power, influence, or reputation. Intimacy in these settings is as much a matter of strategy as it is of desire, a constant negotiation where every move has consequences beyond the heart. Close your eyes and feel the psychological tension of this world. Each glance. Children grow up absorbing these rules naturally, learning when to act, when to hold back, and when to observe. Social survival depends on these lessons as much as any practical skill. Those who misread the signals may face scandal, punishment, or social exile. Those who master them gain influence, trust, and connection. Desire is never free, is disciplined, subtle, and woven into the fabric of daily life. Even labor and daily work are influenced by these invisible codes. Hands brush while carrying buckets of water, glances meet while tending animals. Conversations in the market carry hidden signals. Everything is layered with meaning. In this world, intimacy is not always expressed openly. It is encoded in the smallest details of interaction, in the timing of gestures, in the positioning of bodies. Every person must learn to navigate this invisible terrain, balancing longing with caution and affection with discretion. As months and years pass, these hidden rules of intimacy shape entire communities. They govern marriages, friendships, and alliances. They inform how families interact, how neighbors cooperate, and how strangers connect. They create a society where human connection is simultaneously fragile and resilient, delicate yet enduring. Desire is present, but always within the boundaries dictated by observation, expectation, and experience. The human heart learns to move in harmony with the silent rules of its world. In moments of rare vulnerability, these rules also allow for profound connection. A hand held in secret, a glance shared under the cover of night, a whispered word of reassurance. These small acts of intimacy carry extraordinary significance. In a world so constrained, every expression of closeness becomes an act of courage, a demonstration of trust, and a profound affirmation of humanity. Love, desire, and affection flourish in ways that are invisible to most, yet powerful beyond measure. Close your eyes and imagine the village over decades, generations passing with these invisible laws intact. The lessons of observation, patience, and coded expression become second nature. Children grow into adults who understand the delicate balance of human connection. Families, communities, and religious institutions continue to navigate desire and intimacy within the framework of rules that are unspoken yet universally understood. The invisible threads of behavior, expectation, and restraint weave a society that is at once restrictive and deeply connected, where human desire is honored but never reckless. And finally, as the world continues its slow rhythm, you realize the power of these hidden rules. Intimacy in the Dark Ages is not merely about physical touch or overt affection. It is a complex psychological landscape shaped by culture, survival, and observation. It requires patience, understanding, and courage. It teaches that love and desire, even when constrained, are never lost. They find expression in subtlety, in timing, and in the shared understanding of those who recognize the silent language. The village sleeps, the fires flicker low, and the streets remain quiet. But the pulse of intimacy continues, alive in the hearts and minds of every villager. Every gesture, glance, and whispered word carries forward the lessons of centuries, preserving connection, trust, and human warmth in a world that demands both caution and creativity. In this way, desire survives, thriving in hidden channels, shaping the very rhythm of life and leaving a legacy that will outlast the centuries. And so, the hidden rules endure. The Dark Ages may have been harsh, restrictive, and often unforgiving, but they also revealed a profound truth. Human connection adapts, endures, and finds its way even through the tightest of constraints. Love, desire, and intimacy, though hidden, were never defeated. They thrived quietly, shaping the course of lives, families, and entire societies.